Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. This is our SmackDown review show. I am your tribal chief at the Hitting the Turnbuckle. I'm sorry, I had to do something. I'm your host, Andy Burrows, and I am joined by two of my illustrious co-hosts. It's very early for one of our co-hosts. I do believe it's like 3 a.m. in the morning. This is what you call committed to the cause. Good morning, very good morning, early morning, Mr. Parker Hamlet. How are you, sir?
First of all, Mr. Burrows, if anyone ever sways in the direction that I am, Mr. AEW and I don't watch both products, this is a testament to the fact that I love professional wrestling. And if that means we're talking about it at 3 o'clock in the morning, so be it. The tribal chief was put on trial. We, of course, have to acknowledge him no matter what side of the world we're on. So I'm here and I'm ready to talk SmackDown, baby. Let's go.
Good man, good man. And as you can see, I'm joined by my other illustrious co-host, Mr. Adam Cousins. It's 8 o'clock in the morning here. We're okay. Good morning, brother. How are you?
Good morning. I was going to say, right-hand man, wise man, solo. What?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you could be my wise man, I suppose. Yeah.
We need special counsel.
Yeah, what does that make Dave?
Special counsel. That's easy money.
Yeah. Let's get into.
I got it. Right-hand Robinson.
Right-hand Robertson.
He's just got an abundance of good nicknames, man.
Right-hand Robertson sounds like something you do at 11 o'clock when the wife is Anyway, I digress. It's too early for this banner. Yeah. Boys, we are here to review last night's SmackDown. It hasn't long finished for Parker. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Boys, SmackDown kicked off with Tribal Court. One of the main focuses, I thought as well, they gave this segment like 40 minutes at the start of SmackDown. It's very rare you get on a 2-hour show pretty much. You've got your adverts and stuff in there. On a 2-hour show, that an opening segment, it's been many a years since an opening segment on WWE TV has got this long. So it proves how important the fallout from Money in the Bank was. Parker, like you said at the start of the show, this proves that you're not just an AEW guy. Before we get into it, I absolutely loved this episode of SmackDown. I loved the way it opened with Roman Reigns, teasing that he didn't want to be the tribal chief anymore. And people saying that Roman hasn't going to go into acting. Well, he bloody should after that performance. There was tears. Paul Heyman was crying. The single tear coming down his cheek. It's early in the morning here. I was getting emotional because my tribal chief was getting emotional. Parker, what did you make of what you witnessed on SmackDown last night, my friend? What an opening to a show in Madison Square Garden.
I'm pretty sure the Bloodline stuff as a whole cumulatively on screen is going to be longer than this episode in general. So they let this thing play out on screen. And I remember when I was watching live and I was just checking my watch. I was like, wow, they're really giving this segment time. And that was something we talked about in our Money in the Bank review, if I'm not mistaken, was just how much they let that match breathe and how it almost kind of took away from everything else on the card. You can make that argument for this episode of SmackDown, but in general, I think this was a pretty fun episode of SmackDown. I mean, obviously they're at MSG. They have the history there. They echoed it throughout. As far as the segment is concerned, it was a roller coaster. I mean, you kind of already talked about how they alluded to Roman potentially handing over the reins, no pun intended, to Jey Uso. I kind of liked personally the entire gaslighting the Usos. I loved that. I loved when they showed the Exhibit A and Roman just immediately said, "That's not who I am. That's not me." And it's just it's right in his face, and he's still sticking to the bit. He's still trying to manipulate them. He's still trying to flip the script. I thought it was very true to character. I thought Roman's acting and his expressions were absolutely phenomenal. It's like I said, the single tear, the going down to the knee. I thought the brawl in and of itself was a little bit elongated. It didn't really need to drag out as long as it did. But everything has a purpose. This is a very slow, methodical storyline that they're telling. So I definitely understand that. It's kind of funny because, I don't know you guys, but being an adult man watching professional wrestling, whenever anybody comes in the room, sometimes when segments like this are playing out, it's you're just watching a soap opera. And I will say, SmackDown is kind of becoming the Bloodline, soap opera of WWE television, but it's just a once in a generation story. And they know exactly where they're going with it. And it's really, honestly, very fulfilling every week to kind of tune in. I'm repping the SmackDown blue. I like to stay on theme this week. And, I think everybody knows it's the Roman Reigns show. So I enjoyed the latest installment in the Bloodline. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, I did like it. If anything, I'm a bit more of let's cut the shit and get the action. So I was a little this segment.
3 matches.
Yeah,
Three matches.
That's the point. So this segment, don't get me wrong, I was fine with that. I wasn't a fan of them doing it again at the end. That was the big thing. So we'll get into the end segment.
Agreed.
I think the first segment told what it needed to tell, and you didn't need to have the 20.
I knew we would agree. I knew you were. I was going there next. Like, I definitely felt like you could have just had that first part and dragged it out into the next week. You still got weeks and weeks until SummerSlam. I think we all know where they're going with it, but regardless, I think they should have let this thing play out. When Roman said he was coming to the ring again, I was like, okay, you're taking away screen time from a guy like LA Knight, who's the most over guy in the company right now, and he was relegated to a dark segment. Don't get me wrong, there were some good things about this episode of SmackDown, bros. I'm not shitting on this episode of SmackDown. I got a lot of good things.
Your opinion, brother.
But ultimately, like, this Bloodline stuff really did take away from a lot of other things that I felt like deserved more TV time. I mean, Karrion Kross gets his ass absolutely handed to him by AJ Styles. Like, while this was a fun couple hours of professional wrestling, there really wasn't a lot of wrestling, like Adam said. Like, this ultimately showed that this really is kind of the story beat show of WWE television right now.
What did you guys think of the teasing more of Solo Sikoa becoming the tribal chief? Obviously, he held the reins, no pun intended, that were around Roman's neck. And he took him a while to come and save the beatdown that he was getting from the Usos. This is really a slow burner that's probably going to culminate at SummerSlam, if I'm gonna guess. Maybe longer. Could Survivor Series could go on longer. There's going to be a show, whether it be SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Mania, where Solo does the big final turn. They could build this too, mate.
That's where I see it happen.
Yeah, they could build it that Solo helps a Cody Rhodes win the title.
Full circle moment.
Full circle moment where it ends with Cody winning the title, but Solo being there as the quote-unquote new tribal chief. Which really
because I mean, think about it. Like,
I'll have to buy new t-shirts. I'll have to buy a new hat.
Yeah, and I don't see a situation where Roman, even though I would book it that way, goes into 40 or whatever WrestleMania it is next year, 41, completely by himself. Like, we all know Heyman isn't really technically a threat, if we're being honest, but like having that, threat of, is this when Solo finally turns, and having Solo be the one to kind of be the reason that Cody ends up winning the title is poetic. And I feel like that would be a nice little cherry on top. If it happens before then, cool. Like, I would love to see like a desperate Roman Reigns without somebody to yell at and boss around, but we'll see what happens. As far as like the Solo thing is concerned, I really like where they're going with the character. I really want them to take their time with it. I don't think they need to be in any kind of rush. Solo is a young guy. They need to maximize on their return, on their investment that they're getting out of this. I thought his debut on main roster was fantastic. I love what he did in NXT. I love everything they're doing with Solo right now, and I say hesitate before you pull the trigger because we got a lot of time till Mania.
Ads, do you think that the Solo stuff? I was reading something online yesterday. It might have been PW Talk. It might have been Wade Keller's stuff or something. So I was reading it somewhere yesterday that they're saying when the torch does eventually pass to Solo, it's going to feel like Bloodline 2.0. Because Roman's going to be gone, and then we're going to get like the Usos,
the new Solo, Bloodline. Is what I've seen.
That's pretty much.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm intrigued to see where they go with that. And then the Roman could take, I don't know, it could take a year off, and then eventually he'll come back, and it'll be, again they'll do something. But what do you see moving down the line, Adam, for the Bloodline storyline?
Well, I think the next stop's obviously SummerSlam, so that's going to be Jay, because obviously they've written Jimmy off.
Yeah.
Then we got to find out how the hell they're going to end up how the hell they're going to get that match ended. Because obviously they always end the match with a build to the next thing. That's what they've always done.
I think it'll be another Solo tease at the end of that somehow.
Maybe.
Okay. I'm sorry. I hate to interrupt, but like, look, I don't know if you guys have checked out Twitter ever since SmackDown ended, but the legitimate conversation right now, and I think all wrestling fans that are listening to this have seen this dialogue, is Jay going to do it, and should they do it with Jay? I'm a resounding no on this, and I stand firm on that. And there's way more reasons why Jay shouldn't win than there should be why he should. You have a lot of people saying, oh, well, he's the first guy to pin Roman Reigns on main roster. He was the first guy to pin Roman Reigns in 3+ years since he's been Universal Champion / Tribal Chief. They had their little victory lap today, but in no universe do I think Jay should be the guy to take the strap off of Roman Reigns. I'll go with you first, Burrows. What do you think?
I'm with you. I think, and only thinking outside the box now, I think they flip it. I think Solo's the one to take it off him at WrestleMania next year. I don't think they're going to go down the
I'd
Cody
be cool
road.
with that.
I think Cody's going to go for Seth Rollins' title, and I think somehow between now and WrestleMania, the Solo hype's only going to get bigger. He's kind of in the same mold as LA Knight, where he's slowly building up. You've only got to hear the chants in London last week when we were there. The Solo Sikoa chants were, wow. Madison Square Garden, it comes across on the TV. I get that. But the chants for Solo, I reckon if you can build this properly, I think Solo is going to be the one eventually to be the leader of the blood. I think they're going to tease the Usos, and Jay and Jimmy are going to be involved all the way. SummerSlam, Survivor Series, all these I think they're going back to Saudi Arabia before the end of the year. There's so much going on between now and Mania, but I think WWE in their long term, we say it all the time, their long term, I think they've got Solo in the back of their minds to take the titles off Roman Reigns. Hopefully at WrestleMania. But yeah, for me, I think the match at SummerSlam will be good. Main event Jey Uso is going to be a great match. I'm with Adam. It's going to be how they get to the end of that match. And I'm guessing Jimmy's going to come back. And I reckon he could maybe cost Jey the title and then they flip it and something happens there. So the good thing about this storyline is there's layers. You can keep peeling off layers. Some wrestling storylines, you're like, you can see where this is going. This is going to be done. With the Bloodline storyline, how many years now have we been saying, oh, they're going to do this, and then they do that, and then we say, oh, they're going to do this, and then WWE like, hang on a minute, no, we're going to do this. Clash of the Castle, they brought in Solo. Who's to say more family members don't get involved between now and Mania? There's still talk of The Rock coming back. There's talk of Rikishi getting involved. There's so many layers that you could do to this. You could get the Usos if they're going for it. You could get their father involved. Get him involved in the storyline. Don't bring him back as the character that we know. Bring him back as a father to the Usos. Get him involved. Obviously, because Solo as well as he's the brother. Get him involved and have it. Imagine WrestleMania with the entire family somehow around the ring. Pretty much the whole of the bloodline around that ring, and Solo wins the title. That's where I think they go with it.
I hate to shit on your parade.
But you're gonna.
After you've just given us a great stuff, they're going with Cody to do it.
Yeah, it's a done deal in my opinion. Like to me, there's just been so much hesitancy to put Roman in front of literally anybody that he's not related to. And with Cody, it just seems like there's so much busy work. And like, I'm just honestly, as much as it would be apropos for Roman to lose the title to someone in the bloodline, ironically enough, I just think that at the end of the day, like they've kind of let their intentions be known with Cody Rhodes. There was the leak this past week that is the internal plan is for him to take the strap off of Roman Reigns. It's just, I guess my concern is that they take all the layers off too soon just to keep Roman busy and to keep the story going, that Roman's going to look too vulnerable going into that match with Cody to where it's almost like it's already pretty much determined. Like it's just obvious that he's going to drop the belt to Cody. And I think if they really play their cards right, they kind of pump fake the audience between now and next WrestleMania, and they really play their cards right, which I trust Triple H to do that, honestly, unless Vince gets in the way, but I don't think he will. I just hope that they play their cards right. This Solo thing can kind of be the last domino to fall in Roman Reigns' complete collapse. And I will say from a storytelling standpoint, kind of in closure about the Bloodline before we talk about other things, like I do think they're making Roman look a little bit too weak right now. I will say, like, I thought the crying stuff was really good, especially for the Roman can't act crowd. But ultimately, like, I do think they're making him look a little bit too weak in certain instances, especially when we have such a long way until, WrestleMania. But I guess that's a part of attributed to the fact that, they do want us to believe that he could potentially lose it to Jey Uso. He could potentially lose it to Jimmy. He could potentially lose it to Solo. We all know that's not going to happen. I'm in the same camp as Adam. I don't see anyone other than Cody Rhodes pinning him for this title, and they can do anything in their power to convince me otherwise. But to me, it's a foregone conclusion.
The only way they're going to get to Cody realistically in a minute as well is have him win the Rumble again.
No, Chamber.
Nah. Mm-mm.
Chamber.
I think.
You think that you think him winning the Rumble is the only way that match is going to happen?
I think it's one of the only realistic ways you're going to do it. I don't want to see Cody win the title. I don't want to see him take it off Roman. I've moved on from Cody now. I don't think he can be the champion.
It's an interesting point because
I think he should go for Seth's title. I think Raw needs Cody more than Cody needs Raw to carry that brand, because I'm a bit worried about that side of the brand. SmackDown, that side sorted. I think Cody carrying that title that Seth's got at the minute would be more beneficial to WWE than it would have him be.
I agree with you, but the problem is that the story needs to be finished. Okay.
True.
That
true.
takes precedence apparently in WWE creative. And I do think that Triple H low key is going to get off on putting Cody over at Mania next year, so he can really stick it to the, you got to let us tell our story crowd.
Mm-hmm.
You know, have patience. Good things come to those who wait, Mr. Bros, in case you didn't know.
Yes, sir.
Or dark segments as LA Knight.
Yeah. Or being relegated to beating up Hit Row all there.
We'll get to that. We had a few matches on SmackDown, like you said at the start, Parker and Adam. The Bloodline took up a lot of it. Sheamus took on Austin Theory for the United States title. Just interested to get your guys' views on this. The United States title seems to have taken, and it's like the hidden title right now. Theory was, I think, Adam, we spoke about this a few months ago. He was like, we were praising him, how he could be the next big thing. We say this a lot, getting lost in the shuffle. Theory just hasn't been shuffled. He's been pushed to the back of the deck, and they kind of forgot to him. Adam, what did you think of where they're going with Austin Theory, where they're going with the United States title? I'm guessing this is
going to be brutal.
Yeah, I'm kind of guessing we're heading towards. He should be on the SummerSlam card. I mean, he wasn't even on the Money in the Bank card. I mean, Jesus, we had how many hours of Money in the Bank, and he couldn't even get a 10-minute squash match on it. I mean, I don't know. I like Austin Theory, but I just think he's he needs something. He needs revamping. I mean, the United States title needs something. I mean, what do they do with it?
Well, what a downfall. He was a guy that was main eventing Raw because they never had a champion for so long. Moving to SmackDown, unfortunately, there's something that gets in your way there, and that's Roman Reigns. Where we're going to go with it? Where we're going to go, it's simple.
Say it again. Say it again.
Where Roman Reigns.
That is a valid point.
Hey, you two, don't be disrespecting my tribal chief.
SummerSlam, where do we go with it? LA Knight. Yeah. That's where we go with it. That's it. He's going to win the title from Austin Theory. I don't know. Austin's just been on a bit of a downward spiral, but he's still good. It's so difficult now. It's not as simple. Don't forget, Raw's a 3-hour show as well. I'm not saying SmackDown should be 3 hours by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm saying that.
Please no.
Yeah, but more time on a different channel to give you a title. And he was the main title holder on Raw. Not anymore.
Mm-hmm. Nah, he's Parker, do you think, was it quite weird to you that LA Knight wasn't even involved in that segment yesterday? I thought they could have had a good Sheamus, LA Knight. If you wanted to get the ball rolling and get it rolling straight off the bat from Money in the Bank, say, look, you could have had LA Knight come out, cut a promo saying how he didn't win the Money in the Bank, but he's going after something else. You could have had you could have come out and cut a promo on him, and then the United States title, they could have got up and running. I was a bit shocked that LA Knight, I'm with Adam. I think that, he will get involved in the United States title because I think he'll elevate that to a level that it needs to be. I thought Theory would have, but he's just got lost in the WWE creative SmackDown. Like you say, SmackDown pretty much is the Bloodline storyline show, and everyone else is playing a B part on that show. But were you surprised that LA Knight wasn't even involved on SmackDown in the Austin Theory Sheamus segment? Because I thought that would have been a perfect way. Get him in, get it rolling, and then you move on to 4 weeks of build towards SummerSlam. You could have had some great TV. Not to say they still won't have some great TV building to SummerSlam with LA Knight, but to put him on a dark match, sheesh.
Let me talk to you. So, all right. Here's the thing. LA Knight was not on WWE programming tonight because he's not supposed to be as over as he is. He is not a part of the plan. Okay. And, I got some flack from our little podcast Twitter. I had some pretty harsh words about how Shinsuke Nakamura was booked on our Raw review. And, one of the comments was waiting for something positive to be said about WWE product. Geez. sometimes, guys, the truth hurts. And we're talking about a company right now that will literally pipe in fake crowd noise for guys they want to get over. And they will try to nullify and almost ruin guys that are organically trying to get over or have organically gotten over with the crowd without it being a part of the plan, quote unquote. So with Austin Theory, honestly, something that people really need to keep in mind is how much this company has invested in him already. So to chump him out on a random episode of SmackDown to Sheamus is just not going to happen. And to be honest with you, they're still hoping somehow, some way he can be the guy they want him to be. They don't want to take the title off of him. They don't. And I don't blame them. He's a young up and coming star that they want to invest in a lot, like a Grayson Waller, who they just put in the ring with Edge, an 11-time world champion in Madison Square Garden. They've done this with Austin Theory, though. He's gotten marquee wins over guys like Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley. He's been in the ring with superstars and he's gotten big wins. But here's the thing. A lot like you guys, I like Austin Theory. I think Austin Theory is a great worker. But here's the thing that he doesn't have. Charisma, ultimately. And that is his biggest downfall because you do have to be entertaining, especially when you are a sports entertainer. And, it's funny because who he really reminds me of in ring? Seth Rollins. Seth is a fantastic worker. He had all the athleticism in the world coming up. But Seth, at one point, you could argue, couldn't cut a promo to save his life, to be honest with you. But he was in one of the biggest marquee WWE storylines of the last 20 years. So obviously he's going to feel like he has a sense of importance. What important thing has Austin Theory been given to do? Really, ultimately, other than feud with John Cena, what important thing has he been given to do? Ever since the beginning, he was given the chosen one Vince McMahon gimmick that didn't work for Drew McIntyre and isn't going to work for anybody else. He's taking selfies. He's being shoved down our throat, put in the Money in the Bank match. He's getting chumped out by Roman Reigns with the briefcase. To me, you are not putting this guy in any meaningful programming. And, you can say that he's not the most charismatic person in the world, and I agree with that. But at the same time, I've seen plenty of these guys in WWE who weren't the most captivating storytellers, but were given good programs and good storylines that elevated them to the next level. So to me, there's fault on both sides with Austin Theory. I don't think they should take the title off of him. That's just me. I can understand why people want that to happen. I can understand why everybody wants them to strike the iron while it's hot with LA Knight. To me, LA Knight doesn't need the United States Championship. Just my opinion. I think Austin Theory needs to be given a meaningful program, and he needs to learn how to honestly make the fans give a shit. Because, everything that John Cena said about him was true. I believe everything that Cena said when he said he told Theory exactly how I felt to his face. It wasn't believable. It wasn't authentic. And I don't mean to go on a whole tangent about it, but, maybe it's unpopular. I believe in Austin Theory, and I think one day it is going to click with him, and we're going to look back on this, and we're going to be like, damn, if they'd given him something meaningful from jump, maybe, he would have never been in that position. But in my opinion, WWE's got to make it work. You guys saw what this guy did before he came to WWE. He was a fantastic worker in progress, and he was putting on clinics constantly. But they're trying to do this just snarky, arrogant, good-looking heel thing, and it's just not working. What they're doing with him right now, character-wise, is not working. Aligning him with the Pretty Deadly is not working. And to me, if you take the United States title off of him and give it to LA Knight, no matter how over LA Knight is, you are eradicating all the investment you have put into Austin Theory. But I do think I do think the chances he loses the United States title by SummerSlam are very high, or before or by SummerSlam are very high, just based on how things are going. But I think it's a mistake to take it off him. I do.
I'd maybe put him in a feud with Edge.
See, that's a great idea. But it's like, I have to say this, and this is the last thing I'll say about the entire Austin Theory thing, because I've been passionate about it, because it's a huge dialogue on wrestling Twitter. I have to say this. I was watching Grayson Waller tonight, and I was watching Edge working that ring, and Grayson's trash talk during the matches and the charisma he has, no matter how limited I think he is in ring and how green he is, That's something Theory doesn't have. Theory doesn't come across as genuine or, a legitimate heel, and Grayson just has that charisma. Like, there's just so many guys over here right now that have the things that Austin Theory needs. Theory can go in the ring. That's not a question. But if Theory can really refine his character, I think he's worth all they put into him. But I just hope they don't jump the gun and give up on him too soon. Really, I hope not.
Adam, Theory reminds me of an early SmackDown John Cena. Remember when he come out with the chiseled look? He reminds me of that, and he couldn't cut a promo to save his fucking life until they realized he could rap. And then they rolled with a great storyline that went on for a couple of years. And then we all know where John Cena went on, and now he's one of the greatest of all time. Not in my opinion. I still fucking hate him. But Adam, my boy Grayson Waller was out. Moving on to the next segment with your boy Edge. It's about time Grayson got to do something that isn't other than cut shitty promos on a shitty show. I haven't liked any of that stuff that he's been doing. The
Miz
Grayson
TV,
Waller
baby.
effect. It's kind of all that Miz TV kind of thing. Ads, what did you make of where they're going with your boy? He kind of teased that they're going to be in Toronto in a month's time. Where they're going with Edge, because he had a tremendous match with Grayson Waller on SmackDown. The ending was good. Everyone got over. Waller got to have some good stuff in ring that we finally saw that, he can actually go to what we saw in NXT is what we're now seeing on the main roster. He is a good wrestler. But what's going on with your boy Edge, mate? Where are they going to go with him? Do they put him in with an Austin Theory? Does he go for one more run? But could he be another layer towards the Bloodline move, another opponent somewhere along the lines for Romans in a Saudi Arabia or something like that? What do they do with Edge now? What's happening with him? Because we've heard retirement. He wants to retire in Toronto, but now we're hearing maybe he wants to go into Mania next year. What's happening with your man Edge, Ads?
Don't know.
Brilliant. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you next week.
I really don't know. It was just good to see him back as always. He can still go in the ring. Grayson, I've watched enough of Grayson Waller in NXT to know that he's a good wrestler. He's green still, and that's where his talking makes up for it, because you can trash talk really, really well. So you kind of have that. It was good that Edge basically put him over at the end of that anyway by saying you swam in this.
Yeah.
In other words, you're there. You're ready to go. Austin, you're right. Austin Theory is a good shout with Edge, but I just don't know what they do with him, especially on. It's so difficult on SmackDown now because he's already done the Roman thing. Roman's been done. He got smashed and stacked with Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan, whatever you want to call him. So it's awkward on SmackDown. So put him down to NXT for a bit. Everyone else seems to be going there.
Seems to be the easy way out in WWE at the minute, is it? They're not sure what to do with him. Just pop back to NXT and have a little storyline there for a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Edge. There's still talk of retirement, and like you said, they are in Toronto next month. So they're going to do something with him. What? Jeez, like you say, the Bloodline just takes up. AJ Styles and our boy Kross. What the hell is going on here? That again, like Parker said at the start of the show, and this I 100% agree with. Look, I love my guy Roman Reigns. I love the Bloodline storyline, but a lot of these guys now they're losing out on TV time. They're losing out on segments.
Karrion didn't even get his entrance, bro.
Yeah, it wasn't even on TV.
The only thing that makes him cool.
The funny thing was, even when they played his entrance during the break, and they stopped it at the part where he goes like that after Scarlett does her bit, they just stopped it and went, we're going back off commercial.
Yeah, I mean, and AJ Styles as well. I mean, he's gone from being the face of SmackDown, the face that run the place, as he said, to now not jobbing out, but just kind of being a mid-carder. The excitement's gone for me. That was AJ Styles. You think of him back in the TNA days when he debuted in WWE, when they put the strap on him, when he was main eventing week after week after week. And now you're kind of looking around because, like Parker says, because the Bloodline story is so prominent in WWE, you're kind of looking around at the likes of AJ, Kross, even Edge, like you just said, Adam, to an extent. You're kind of like, whoa. They're not quite sure where to put these guys, because you need a B-side. You need another storyline to get you. Leading up to Money in the Bank, you had the whole LA Knight's going to win the Money in the Bank. You had all that. This episode of SmackDown, you were kind of like you guys said at the start, 4 matches? And everyone was kind of, it was still like the Bloodline were the start. They had a little bit in the middle because they were backstage, and then they were the end. And everything else was just kind of like, okay, you guys can fill in here, or you guys can fill in here. And AJ just squashed Kross, and it was over before you blinked. I mean, Boys, what do you make of the mid card shuffle right now in WWE? Shall we say? We could all just shake our heads.
You want to go first? I'll tell you what I think. I think that you couldn't have made Kross a bigger deal than you did when you brought him back the way you did. He's interferes in a main event segment. He whoops Drew McIntyre's ass, and he pretty much tells Roman, "You're on the clock." And that right there, main event player energy. Loved it. I was like, you know what? I know Triple H is high on this guy. Sweet, credible opponent for Roman. You can make a superstar here. But I cannot stand when you book two guys against each other who can't afford to lose. And to me, AJ can't afford to lose, but he's coming out of a world title program where he just lost to Rollins clean as a whistle. And realistically, he needed to get his get back and get back in the winning category because he just came back. But with Karrion, it's like you're entering Bray Wyatt territory of incoherent rambling, all this alluding to supernatural elements. You got your, people helping you ringside doing spooky stuff, and none of it matters and none of it leads to anything. And, they alluded to the fact that, Kross was injured. I don't know how much of that is real. I've heard conflicting reports on that since SmackDown ended. But ultimately, the only win you give Kross is in a mixed match challenge match with his wife, who really can't wrestle. And this entire thing has just felt inconsequential. Kross should be one of your big players on SmackDown, realistically. He should be a threat. He should be a guy that is absolutely running over everybody. And while Roman obviously has a stranglehold on SmackDown in regards to the power dynamic, you're not really making any credible threats to him. I mean, Austin Theory, if he drops that title tomorrow, do we think he's getting promoted to the main event scene? Absolutely not. So, I mean, with all that being said, it's once the Bloodline stuff's over, I mean, let's be real here. If they didn't air that second half segment with the Bloodline, right at the end of the show, and, they kind of assured the audience that there was nothing more to the Bloodline segment, how do you think that would have affected SmackDown's viewership? Because, I mean, really think about it. Just think how inconsequential everything else is on SmackDown in regards to relevancy when you're compare it to the Bloodline. There's really nobody else.
You can say that for the entire WWE, in my opinion, though. As good as every storyline is over on Raw, on on NXT, everything ultimately
pales in comparison.
Comes back to the Bloodline.
And that's the God honest truth. It's they're I think the only guy that I could be you know what, once he drops his belt, he's going to the main event is Gunther. And that's it. That is it. I mean, he's got the stable, he's got the look, they're high on him, but they're going to keep him and Roman as far away from each other as humanly possible, understandably so. But you're not building up any credible threats for Reigns on SmackDown. And it just makes the whole Cody and Roman thing just so easy to see coming. And, I mean, I'm sure the match will be fun and everything, but we still have got to review these shows. We still got to watch SmackDown. We still have to enjoy the product. And, to me, when you open up the show with the only thing that it seems like they put thought into, the rest of it just feels like it's not essential viewing, to be honest with you. I don't know about you guys, but as soon as I saw Austin Theory stroll his ass out of the ring, I was like, he's going to win with a roll-up via distraction from Pretty Deadly. I knew that. I could have fell asleep and woke up at the end of the match, and I already knew it was coming. Nothing feels like it matters on SmackDown other than Bloodline. And I'm not complaining because the Bloodline stuff is captivating. It is compelling, but you do have to at least seem like you have a vision in regards to people that could possibly dethrone Roman. Because I mean, God, if it's really just family drama until Cody, that's
an interesting one. Where's Bobby Lashley?
Injured.
Is he?
Is he? I didn't know
he's
that.
Injured. I think I read somewhere that he's injured.
He was training in the gym yesterday.
I don't know. I thought I read somewhere that he had a slight injury somewhere. Could be wrong.
What?
I thought he was injured. Yeah, I thought he had to be off TV for a couple of weeks or something like that. But he hasn't been on SmackDown for
weeks. The draft was in April.
Yeah, he hasn't. He's been on once since the draft.
Yeah.
And that was a dark match, wasn't it?
But he
no,
just
he
jumped
did
after
a world title
Austin
for him,
Theory.
wasn't he?
So I
That's
mean,
it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, Bobby Lashley's someone that you could get in the mix. He was quite over on Raw. Talking of getting lost in the shuffle, Adam, the women had a tiny segment on SmackDown with a kind of, this is always going to happen with the quote unquote failed cash in, and it was running city. You had Charlotte, you had Oscar, you had Bianca Belair, you had Io, you had Bailey. Is this, to what Parker was just saying, Adam, is this kind of where WWE are like, we want to get you on the show, but hang on a minute, we need to get the Bloodline back on to end the show? Was this kind of rushed, squashed, didn't really do much? We kind of know this is going to be where we're moving forward. It's heading towards SummerSlam. I reckon it'll be some sort of like fatal 4-way or something like that. Triple threat,
Definitely
yeah,
triple threat.
something like that. Something's going to happen like that. But as for SmackDown, it felt very rushed. It felt very quick because of where we had to get to, which we're going to get to in a second, towards the end of the show. I mean, hey, look, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the Bloodline storyline. I'd watch 2 hours of it if it was me, but that's just me being a mark.
We nearly did.
Yeah, we nearly did watch 2 hours of it. Hey, look, I'd have been all in for that. But Adam, are the women kind of, again, getting quote unquote lost in the shuffle?
Everybody is. And it's a shame. It really is. I mean, I this week, I mean, we watched Britt Baker and Ruby Soho tear the house down on Dynamite. They had a fantastic match, and we Rhea Ripley and Natalia on Raw. Me and Park were talking about it. Me and Dave. It was amazing that match. You know, you give the women time, and lo and behold, they can pull out a good match. The other thing I was saying, just quickly, just sidetracking a bit, there is no top mid-card heel on SmackDown on the men's side. Just saying about something about Edge to
Austin Theory.
Well, yeah, exactly that. But yeah, with it, like when you looked at it, Edge had Finn Balor. He went on Raw. He was like Balor. There was the others, but there isn't on SmackDown.
That's where they could go with Bobby Lashley, turn him into a badass heel again.
Or they bring Braun Breaker up as a heel from NXT, which is.
I'm surprised they haven't brought him up. I think the only worrying thing is if the only worrying thing is that they bring him up to SmackDown again.
Yes, that is the key.
He's going to, but you can't bring him to Raw. Jesus, there's two. I know they've got a 3-hour show, but I think it would be SmackDown when they bring him up. And I think you're right, Adam. I think it will be SummerSlam. But then again, you need to be very careful where you place him. You don't want to have all this great build that they've had down in NXT, and they've really built him well. He was a baby face, and they turned him into a great heel. You know, he dropped the title, still a great heel down there. You don't want to now get him up. And then you could put him with Austin Theory and have a run. That would be good. That would be good to see.
You know what? It could happen. Do you remember the Warrior Honky Tonk match at SummerSlam went about 8 seconds? Austin Theory.
1988.
Yeah.
Braun is a perfect fit for the Alpha Academy. Personally, it's just my opinion. I think he'll look great with those colors and then, you know, the little straps and all that stuff. Yeah.
My God, going back to the women, should have waited till next week. Apart from Charlotte's outfit,
well, yeah,
that was non-PG. But
sheesh, blimey, that woke me up this morning.
With the entire women's segment, man, I think what bugged me the most was Io trying to cash in. Like, way to just make her look like a complete dumbass, almost on arrival. And just, to me, it's kind of why I didn't like Priest coming out ringside for Balor. Like, you know, if they're not going to cash in, like, save it. Like, if they want to go out and cut a promo on Raw and SmackDown and say, I have the Money in the Bank briefcase, cool. But really, like, hesitate with bringing them out for the fake cash-in bullshit. To me, the more you do it, the less credible it seems that they'll actually do it at some point. And I understand you have to get Io over as Miss Money in the Bank, but at the same time, like, you know, she really wasn't needed in this. And, you know, you could have simply just threw together a video package or something. I mean, we all know she can't cut a promo. Not trying to be an asshole. It's just the truth. But, you know, let this be about Bianca and Charlotte. Because I do think Bianca and Charlotte have done a good job of making this feel personal. And they have done a good job of showing that this is going to be a physical matchup between them. I think it's probably going to be match of the night at SummerSlam, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, it being a triple threat kind of worries me. But, you know, I think the last time they did a triple threat, what was it? Asuka, Becky, and Bianca. I forget which pay-per-view that was, but it was a very solid outing. But I think those three women can go. I think it'll be a fun triple threat. But just kind of let EO chill out. Like I thought the fake cash and stuff was very poorly done.
Let's get to the end of the show, boys. Jay was back in the building. He wasn't in hospital. They announced that Roman was going to the ring. I love this segment, man. I love the Bloodline storyline. I'm sorry, boys. I really enjoyed SmackDown. I absolutely really enjoyed SmackDown this week. And the ending I thought was good because what it done was it still put Solo over without putting him over, because Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman were down the ramp when he was getting the living shit kicked out of him and battered with a chair, by the way. Jay laid them shots in. So it still made Solo strong and then set up what we're probably going to be the SummerSlam main event. It's going to be main event Jey Uso against Roman Reigns. And I personally think that'll be the match tonight. I think that's going to be fucking incredible. I cannot wait to see that. But what did you boys make of the way that SmackDown went off the air? Didn't really tease much for next week. I'm guessing Roman, is he scheduled to be on TV again? Are we going to get Roman again? No, not scheduled to be on next week. So we're going to get we're probably going to get a Jay and Paul and Solo thing next week. It's what they kind of sometimes do. But I enjoyed the way it went off I like the way that Jay teased lifting up the title. Very clever there, the way they done it. I'm invested. I really, really liked it. And I'm sorry, boys. I'm sorry.
Sorry about it. It was good. The ending was fine. The ending was good. You always say you need to make sure that the ending makes you want to watch next week. And just segue into Dynamite, it did, because of the stuff with Omega and Utah, and then Omega cut something at the end to say he was in Japan like we all thought. So that's already going, well, we kind of know where that's going, but we want to sit there and see it because that's, and the same with SmackDown. It goes off the air, Jay's kicked the living hell out of Solo. Solo's practically dead on the floor. And now you're like, okay, well, we need to see what happens next week. What's happened to Jimmy? Is Roman going to be there? What's Solo's condition going to be? What's Heyman going to do? So I was fine with it. I just think beginning and end with nearly half-hour segments. So we criticize Impact Wrestling for doing it when they done that 10-man, that 10-person interview at start. I mean, all right, it's not as captivating as this, so but it's fine. But I was fine with SmackDown's ending. I thought it was good. It built Jay up to be a credible, and it's got people talking. Is Jay going to do it? We've all sat here and said no, but there's still people out in the Twitterverse and everywhere else that's saying, is he? So he's built him up to be a credible contender.
Yeah, no.
So, question: how long specifically do we have until SummerSlam?
4 weeks.
Yeah, it's August. It is August the
second
4th.
weekend. Yeah, I'll be watching I'll be watching that in Spain.
Yeah, August the 5th.
Yeah.
I think the only complaint I really have about the closing segment was that it almost felt like they did 2 weeks worth of 2 to 3 weeks worth of storytelling in one episode. Like, I really think Jay kind of showing back up almost was like no selling the significance of Jimmy's injury, so to speak. I liked the beatdown. I liked how he kind of, got one up on on Solo. And then Roman just kind of looked at him and was like, look, get out of here, because it's funny because, you had Roman say it those weeks ago, Jay will fall in line. And in his mind, he still thinks Jay is his, slave. Like, I own you. You do what I say. You were the first person to do what I say, and you'll be the last one to do what I say. So it was cool to see Jay get in the ring and kind of get the one up on Roman. I thought that was a cool moment. I thought seeing Jay with the title was really cool. I guess I just kind of sigh a little bit because I feel like that was like literally the setup for the match at SummerSlam. And I think we're going to get a couple weeks of Paul Heyman talking and Solo talking. And, I am intrigued, though, to see how Jimmy plays into all this, because how long are they going to play the injury angle? And it does bring a lot of interesting questions up. And, I guess overall, I did enjoy it. I just wish it didn't take so much away from SmackDown as a whole. But as far as like story progression, it was obviously a huge night. And they did get a lot of return on, their screen time in regards to what they want out of this storyline. And, they gave us a really good sense of where it's going next. So I think everybody knew all along it was going to be Jay. It was kind of cool to see it happen. And, overall, it was fun. It was fine. It's what we've come to expect. It's why we love the Bloodline storyline. I think people are going to overthink it and overanalyze certain things about it. But, at the end of the day, I mean, I hope this thing lasts forever because it's the best thing WWE's got. And it certainly has made me an avid SmackDown viewer. So
it's weird to think of wrestling without this Bloodline storyline now. It's been so long. It's a bit like when, when the NWO ran and ran. It's kind of
and then jumped to WWE
and then jumped to WWE and Vince ran it again. I'm gonna bring back the NWO. Yeah, and that whole thing that didn't work well. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what WWE do moving forward now. SummerSlam's always there. It's kind of the little brother of WrestleMania for me. It's always kind of like the second biggest pay-per-view. You know, they call it the biggest pay-per-view of the summer. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do. Parker, I'm also interested to see if you're gonna go and get some sleep now. It's like 3:30 in the morning.
Just a quick sidetrack. Do they go all without quote? Do they go a bit more all out this time because of All In?
Around the same time.
The All In's at the end of August.
27th of August.
78,000 seats sold at Wembley. Is that putting more pressure on SummerSlam to deliver at the start of the month?
I think WWE delivers no matter what AEW do. And that's not me shitting on AEW. I mean, there's people out there saying, there's people out there that are like, well, Cena cut a promo about WrestleMania because no. If you think that WWE care what AEW do, you're fucking wrong. They don't give a shit. They don't care. WWE will be here in 50 years' time, 60 years' time, 70 years' time. They don't care. All these people out there tweeting away, they're only doing this because Tony Khan's doing this and fucking no.
Andy, come on, Andy.
They don't care.
Do you honest to God believe,
They don't care.
and I want you to say this in this mic, do you honestly believe that Cena would have cut that promo if AEW didn't near sell out Wembley
Cena
Stadium?
Cuts that promo every time he comes to London.
I've seen that
promo 3 times.
That would have happened had All In not happened.
Yeah, but WWE could sell out Wembley Stadium every day.
But they don't.
They could. If you put a pay-per-view on there Monday to Friday, that would sell out every single day.
You do realize that like WWE has like countered AEW a million times. Like the Wednesday Night Wars. Like, was NXT a live show before AEW existed? No, it wasn't. They try to actively counter program AEW all the fucking time. It's a constant thing. So to say that they don't care about them, and then not even that, bring up the MLW lawsuit. The MLW lawsuit, like they talk about the business traction AEW gets and how they are a
business side.
competitor.
Yeah, I get the whole business side of it. For people to sit there and angrily tweet WWE only doing this because AEW doing this, no way, not a chance in hell. They might look at Rampage when on a Friday night. Where you're going to put it up against SmackDown? No, Rampage is some of the biggest pile of shit I've ever watched in my life. Don't get me fucking started on Collision because that's fucking.
And so was 205 Live. That's going down the toilet. So is Main Event. I can sit here and tell you, and so is NXT. NXT's fucking terrible. I can sit here and tell you shit.
Not recently. NXT's really good. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. But look, all I'm saying is these people out there are bashing WWE. They're doing this because of AEW. Man, come on, man. Like Billy Gunn once said, Vince McMahon will buy that piss hand company.
No, that was Triple H.
No, Triple H
said
he'll buy that piss hand company. About Billy Gunn saying that during the Hall of Fame speech.
The difference is Vince can't buy it anymore because
Vince can't do fuck all anymore, man. He's pretty much put himself under house arrest. Vince is not allowed to. Yeah, that dodgy.
He was backstage.
Yeah, I heard he was back there this week. But yeah, anything.
I did hear that.
I'm seeing all this stuff. I mean, Adam, I know you get into it a lot on Twitter with our followers over at HCT Buckle. But for me personally, I just enjoy wrestling. I enjoy watching Dynamite. I don't enjoy watching Rampage. Collision's been shit the last 2 weeks. I'm not enjoying it. I'm with Nick.
You just don't like CM Punk, and that's okay.
No, I've got a CM Punk.
Just say you don't like Phil. It's okay.
I've got a CM Punk t-shirt sitting over there. I like CM Punk.
You were preying on that man's downfall, Andy. Yeah, we could go back on this.
I think AEW don't know what to do with him. I think they're just going to get him to MJF and then just be like, okay, well, good luck. And then let's split our roster even more. But anyway, we're here to talk about SmackDown. We can.
Hey, if it makes you feel better, we've talked about WWE on the AEW review show.
No, that's fine. It's fine. Look, hey, this is why I love this show. This is why I love wrestling fans. We split opinion. If we all agreed, the world would be boring. I say this on NFL Twitter nearly every single day. Jesus, Parker, I don't have to tell you what that's like when Washington fan. You only got to look behind Parker there for those watching on YouTube to know this isn't. We're not doing anything now that sports fans up and down the world, all over the world, don't do. This is why we love hitting the turnbuckle. This is why we love doing what we're doing. Parker, this is why we love you getting up at 3 a.m. in the morning to debate this shit with us.
Well, look, Andy, I'll put it to you like this. I obviously love AEW. You obviously love WWE. Here's the thing. I don't think AEW in the next decade will be able to compete with what WWE has built. It's just not feasible. What AEW offers is an alternative.
Yeah, which
I've accepted that. I don't argue with people about it. I enjoy both products, and that's where the tribalism kind of dies for me, because I watch both shows and I enjoy both shows for what they are. Like WWE, you got your sports entertainers, and AEW, you got your indie guys, and like there's something for everybody right now. And I think what people could take away from this conversation is that we can all talk about it and get along and enjoy all wrestling. Like if there's anybody that doesn't give a shit, it's the people backstage. They do not care that this doesn't exist to them. Like it's something that we're arguing about while we're buying $18 beers, watching it live and on podcasts. But ultimately, I think tribalism is bullshit. I think it's stupid. And I think everybody should just enjoy whatever they want to consume ultimately. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Huh? Very well said, my friend. Very well said.
And
Adam,
stop it. You know I love you guys, and you know I love this damn podcast, and I will do it at 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, Parker, we really appreciate you getting up this early, my man. It's kind of now you see how I feel when I sit up at 1 a.m.
No, yeah, and you know what? I said, what would Andy do? And before we go, man, why don't we plug all these awesome interviews you guys have got lined up and just all that stuff? Like, forget me. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, Adam, talk about the interview that you done last night, my man. I mean, for those that haven't checked it out, Ads, tell our listeners what we've got. We had over nearly 2 hours of content that you put out last night.
I put out one part.
One part's out.
I need to leave it. I've got to give them something to watch next week. I sat down for 2 hours with the franchise Shane Douglas yesterday, and I will say this for the first time. Before I went on the air with him, it was the first time I was ever nervous. I've wanted Douglas. I wanted Shane Douglas. When you asked me to do this, I said, "This is my top 3 guys. I want him on."
We've had 2 of your top 3 now.
I've had 2 of my top 3. I only need Mr. Cornette.
Yeah, Mr. Cornette next. Don't get me on that show.
Oh man, I'm there. Man, Jim Cornette comes on this fucking show. I'm there.
Make sure you go and check out our YouTube channel, audio. But if you, I'd recommend watching that on the YouTube. We've got some great ones coming up soon. I literally got an email the last 5 seconds. 1/2 of the greatest tag team champions ever. That's all I'm going to say. Is going to be coming on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast in the next 3 weeks.
Hell yeah!
All I'll say is, boys, get the
tables.
Yeah, obviously you guys can piece that together. Obviously, to our little AEW crowd, we got. I'm assuming we're reviewing Collision. I mean, it's Punk Joe 4.
Maybe you and Dave.
You and Dave, yeah. So we're going to be back this week. We're going to squeeze in a Collision and maybe Rampage. We can put that in the same one. And then we're back next week. We've got Raw, and we do this all again next week.
Who have you got Wednesday? I'm not going to.
We've got James Ellsworth coming on Wednesday to sit down and talk about his WWE run. I mean, he had one of the funnest SmackDown runs ever.
My God, 2016 SmackDown was peak.
He was
he was
very
much interested in
talk about wrestlers being over when they're not meant to be over. James Ellsworth, he got himself over. He had the stuff with Melina and stuff. He had the whole
no
stuff
chin music, baby.
Had the stuff with AJ Styles going on. So we're going to sit down on Wednesday and chat to him. Like you say, more review shows coming up.
Following Thursday, you mentioned one of the greatest tag teams of all time. We've got one of the greatest tag teams in Impact Wrestling or TNA in Chris Harris from America's Most Wanted. The following week.
So we have got some great stuff coming up. If you want to check that out, make sure you go and check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Just search the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. But boys, this has been a great SmackDown review show. Parker, we really appreciate you, brother. Go get some sleep. Go enjoy your weekend. Adam, go and enjoy your weekend, my man. I would no doubt we'll all speak over the weekend.
I'll see you tomorrow.
I will see you. We are at Rev Pro tomorrow. Me and Adam are going to go and check out some live wrestling tomorrow.
You guys have fun.
We will. But boys, this has been another great episode of the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I have been your host, Andy Burrows, with my amazing friends and co-hosts, Mr. Parker Hamlet and Adam Cousins. Till next time, everybody, acknowledge us. Buckle down. Stay safe.